The old woman's purse hit the marble floor with a soft thud. A lipstick rolled beneath a display table. Her reading glasses landed beside a pair of polished black shoes. A small bottle of medication spun twice before stopping near the entrance of Bella Rosa Grand Hotel. "Please," the elderly woman whispered, struggling to kneel. "I didn't do anything." Nobody helped her. Instead, people watched. Some stared from the enormous lobby. Others pulled out their phones. And standing directly in front of the frightened woman was Celeste Harrington, the hotel's elegant events director, dressed in a cream designer suit and wearing an expression colder than the marble beneath her heels. "You expect us to believe that?" Celeste demanded. The elderly woman's eyes filled with tears. "I only wanted somewhere to sit. You wandered into a private charity luncheon without an invitation. I was waiting for my driver." Celeste laughed. "Of course you were." Two security guards stood nearby, looking uncomfortable but saying nothing. The old woman slowly reached for her glasses. Celeste's heel moved. She stepped directly on them. Crack! The sound silenced the lobby. The elderly woman stared at the broken glasses. Her lower lip trembled. And then someone in the crowd said, "Enough." Heads turned. A young woman pushed through the circle of spectators. Her name was Nia Bellamy. She was 26, plus size, dressed in a bright sapphire blue catering uniform, with her dark curls pulled into a loose bun. She had been carrying a tray of empty champagne glasses toward the kitchen when she noticed the crowd. She had no money, no influence, no powerful family name, and absolutely no reason to involve herself. Except one. The old woman was crying. Nia handed her tray to a stunned waiter. Then she walked straight toward Celeste. "Move away from her." Celeste blinked. "Excuse me." "You heard me." Nia crouched beside the elderly woman. "Are you hurt?" The woman shook her head, although tears were still sliding down her cheeks. "My glasses." Nia carefully picked up the broken frames. She looked at them. Then she looked at Celeste. "You did this." Celeste folded her arms. "She shouldn't have been here. That wasn't my question." A murmur moved through the lobby. Celeste's expression hardened. "Do you know who you're speaking to?" Nia stood. She was nervous. Terrified, actually. She needed this job. Her landlord had given her 7 days to pay the balance on her rent. Her younger brother's college tuition was overdue. She had exactly $83 in her bank account. Losing her job would be disastrous. But when Nia looked behind her and saw the elderly woman trying to wipe away tears without anyone noticing, something became more important than fear. "I know exactly who I'm speaking to," Nia replied. "I'm speaking to someone who humiliated an elderly woman because she thought nobody important was watching." Celeste's face changed. "You're fired." Nia swallowed. The words hurt, but she didn't move. "Fine." Celeste seemed surprised. Nia pointed toward the elderly woman. "But you're going to apologize first." Someone gasped. Celeste actually laughed. "You're demanding that I apologize?" "Yes." To her, Nia's eyes narrowed. "She has a name." The old woman quietly said, "Serafina." Nia glanced back. "What?" "My name is Serafina." Nia smiled gently. Then she turned toward Celeste. "You're going to apologize to Ms. Serafina." Celeste stepped closer. "Security. Remove both of them." The guards hesitated. Nia moved in front of Serafina. One guard lowered his voice. "Please don't make this difficult." Nia looked at him. "Then don't make me." The entire lobby became still. And if you love stories where one act of courage can change someone's entire life, subscribe to the channel, because what Nia didn't know was that the crying woman behind her wasn't helpless at all. She was the mother of a man people feared across 3 states. And he was about to walk through those doors. Outside, 3 black vehicles stopped beneath the hotel awning. The first driver stepped out. Then another. Finally, the rear door of the middle vehicle opened. A tall man emerged. Cashin Vale, 34 years old, broad-shouldered, immaculately dressed in a black suit. His expression rarely revealed emotion, but his silence had ended conversations in rooms filled with powerful men. Publicly, Cashin was the chairman of Vale Meridian Holdings, a private investment empire with interests in construction, shipping, hotels, and commercial property. Privately, the Vale name carried another reputation. For decades, His family had controlled a criminal network inherited from an older generation. Cashin had spent years dismantling its ugliest operations, forcing violent men into legitimate businesses and imposing rules that made enemies call him disciplined and allies call him dangerous. He never bragged about power. He never needed to. When Cashin entered Bella Rosa Grand Hotel, he expected to find his mother waiting near the restaurant. Instead, he saw a crowd. Then he heard crying. He stopped. His security chief, Ronan Pike, noticed immediately. "Sir," Cashin didn't answer. The crowd shifted, and he saw her, his mother, sitting on the floor, her belongings scattered around her, broken glasses beside her hand. A plus-size woman in a blue uniform stood protectively between her and two security guards. Cashin's face became unreadable. "Move," he said. The crowd separated almost instantly. Celeste turned. All the confidence drained from her face. "Mr. Vale." Naya glanced toward the approaching stranger. She had seen him somewhere before, but couldn't remember where. Cashin walked past everyone, straight to Serafina. He crouched. "Mother." Naya froze. "Mother?" Serafina looked up. Cashin. His gaze dropped to her broken glasses, then her trembling hands, then the tears on her cheeks. Something in his expression changed. Not rage. Something quieter. "Who hurt my mother?" Nobody answered. Cashin slowly stood. His eyes traveled across the lobby. "I asked a question." Celeste stepped forward. "Mr. Vale, this has been a terrible misunderstanding." Cashin looked at her. "Were you involved?" She entered a restricted area, and... "Were you involved?" Celeste swallowed. "Yes, but..." Cashin turned toward Naya. "And you?" Naya straightened. "I was working." "What happened?" Celeste interrupted. "Mr. Vale, she's already been dismissed for insubordination." Cashin looked back at her. "You fired her?" "She threatened hotel security. I told them not to drag an elderly woman across the floor." Cashin's attention returned to Naya. "Continue." Naya explained everything. She didn't exaggerate. She didn't make herself sound heroic. She simply told him how she had seen Serafina surrounded, how Celeste had accused her of entering the luncheon to steal from guests, how her purse had been searched without finding anything, and how Celeste had stepped on her glasses after Serafina begged to leave. When Naya finished, Cashin looked toward his mother. "Is that true?" Serafina nodded. Every muscle in Cashin's jaw tightened. Celeste rushed forward. She didn't have identification. She was dressed. Cashin turned. "Finish that sentence." Celeste stopped. The lobby was so quiet that the fountain could be heard splashing across the room. Cashin looked at his mother. Serafina wore a simple gray cardigan, an inexpensive skirt, and comfortable shoes. No jewelry except her wedding ring. No designer handbag. Nothing to reveal that she lived on an estate worth millions. Cashin understood immediately. "You thought she was poor." Celeste said nothing. "You thought she was poor," he repeated. "So you decided dignity was optional." "No, sir." "You stepped on her glasses." Celeste's eyes widened. "I was frustrated." Cashin looked at the broken frames. Then at Naya. "What did you do?" Naya shrugged. "I helped her." "Why?" The question genuinely confused her. "Because she needed help." Cashin studied her. "No other reason?" "What other reason should there be?" For the first time since entering the hotel, something almost human softened his expression. He turned to Ronan. "Get my mother home." Serafina immediately protested. "Not without Naya." Naya blinked. "Me?" Serafina reached for her hand. "You lost your job because of me." "No. I lost my job because I have a big mouth." Serafina laughed through her tears. Cashin stared at Naya. Naya stared back. Then she realized what she had said. Cashin's mouth almost curved. "Apparently." Serafina squeezed Naya's hand. "Come have tea with me. I really should find out whether I'm actually fired." "You are not fired," Cashin said. Celeste stiffened. Naya looked at him. "With respect, you don't work here." Ronan coughed. Cashin glanced toward him. Ronan looked away. Then Cashin said, "My company owns the hotel." Naya closed her eyes. "Of course it does." Serafina burst out laughing. Even several employees struggled not to smile. Cashin looked toward Celeste. "Effective immediately, you are suspended pending a formal investigation. Security footage is to be preserved." Every employee involved will be interviewed. Celeste's face went pale. Mr. Vale, please. This isn't revenge. His voice remained calm. It is accountability. Then he turned to Naya. Your job is safe. She shook her head. No. Cashin paused. No. I don't want my job saved because your mother likes me. Nobody refused favors from Cashin Vale. Nobody. Naya continued. If I keep the job, it should be because I did my job properly. Cashin studied her for several seconds. Then human resources will review your record and make the decision without my interference. Good. Serafina smiled. Cashin looked strangely impressed. That evening, he requested every camera recording from the hotel. He watched the incident alone. Once. Then twice. On the third viewing, he stopped the video at the moment Naya stepped between his mother and security. She had been afraid. He could see it now. Her fingers trembled. Her breathing changed. Yet she stepped forward anyway. Cashin understood courage. He had seen men enter dangerous rooms with weapons. He had watched powerful executives gamble fortunes without blinking. But this was different. Naya had possessed nothing that could protect her. And still she had protected someone else. 3 days later, Serafina appeared at a tiny bakery on Marlowe Street. Naya was behind the counter. Serafina frowned. You don't work at the hotel anymore? Naya smiled. They reinstated me. Then why are you here? My aunt owns this bakery. I help on my days off. Serafina looked around. The place smelled of cinnamon, coffee, and warm bread. Then I need cake. What kind? All of it. Naya laughed. Your trouble. I've been told. That afternoon became the first of many. Serafina began visiting every Thursday. Sometimes she bought pastries. Sometimes she sat near the window and drank tea. Sometimes she arrived with no excuse whatsoever. Naya never asked about her money, never asked about Cashin, never treated her differently after discovering who she was. That mattered to Serafina. Most people around the Vale family either feared them or wanted something. Naya wanted nothing. One afternoon, Serafina watched Naya quietly hand a bag of unsold bread to a father with 2 young children. He tried to pay. Naya refused. After he left, Serafina asked, Does your aunt know you give away her bread? Naya smiled. She taught me. Your family sounds wonderful. Naya's smile faded slightly. My aunt raised me after my parents died. Serafina reached across the table. I'm sorry. It was a long time ago. Naya changed the subject. But Serafina noticed. That night, she told Cashin about the bakery. He listened more carefully than he intended. What does she want? Serafina frowned. From whom? Us. Nothing. Everyone wants something. She doesn't. Cashin looked unconvinced. Serafina smiled. Go see for yourself. I don't visit bakeries to investigate people. Then go because their cinnamon rolls are excellent. I have meetings. You always have meetings. Cashin looked at his mother. Serafina lifted her tea. And that's why you're unmarried. 2 weeks later, Cashin entered the bakery at 7:45 in the morning. Naya looked up. Recognition flashed across her face. Oh, Cashin raised an eyebrow. Is that how you greet customers? Only the ones whose families own hotels. I don't own this bakery. Then welcome. She handed him a menu. What can I get you? Coffee. What kind? Coffee. Naya stared at him. That answer tells me more about you than you realize. Cashin almost smiled. Black. Of course. And 1 cinnamon roll. She froze. Then narrowed her eyes. Your mother sent you. No. Liar. I was in the neighborhood. You arrived in a car that costs more than this building. I can still be in a neighborhood. Naya laughed. Cashin found himself smiling before he could stop it. Over the next month, he returned several times. At first, he claimed the bakery was convenient. Then he stopped explaining. Naya treated him differently from everyone else in his world. She challenged him, teased him. Once, when he checked his phone during breakfast, she took his coffee away. Cashin stared at the empty space. Where's my coffee? You weren't appreciating it. Give it back. Say please. He stared at her. She stared back. Please. She returned it. His security team, sitting outside, nearly lost their minds. But Cashin liked that Naya never seemed impressed by the version of him that intimidated everyone else. She cared about smaller things. Whether he had eaten, whether he called his mother, whether he thanked the driver, whether he knew the names of the employees cleaning his offices. One rainy afternoon, Naya finally asked him something serious. Why does everyone become nervous when you enter a room? Cashin looked at her. Do you? No. Then perhaps you're asking the wrong person. She smiled. I'm serious. So am I. She studied him. There are stories about your family. Cashin's expression changed. I assumed you had heard them. I have. And Naya wiped the counter slowly. I judge people by what they do around me. That can be dangerous. So can judging them by rumors. Cashin remained silent. Naya continued. But if there's something you think I should know, tell me yourself. He did. Not everything, but enough. He explained the history attached to his family. The violence he had inherited rather than chosen. The criminal network he had spent years shrinking. The enemies that came with his surname. He didn't ask her to approve. He didn't make excuses. When he finished, Naya was quiet. Finally, she said, Do you hurt innocent people? No. Do you allow others to? No. Are you trying to leave that world better than you found it? Yes. She nodded. Then keep doing that. Cashin stared at her. That's all. No. She pointed at him. If you lied to me, I'm throwing you out of the bakery. A laugh escaped him. A real one. And that was when Cashin realized he was in trouble. Not because Naya feared his darkness. Because she expected him to be better than it. But the real test came 3 months later. Serafina organized an annual charity dinner benefiting widows and elderly people living alone. Naya almost refused the invitation. She owned no designer dresses. She disliked rooms where people measured one another by labels. And since the hotel incident, her photo had circulated online. Some called her brave. Others mocked her size. She pretended the comments didn't hurt. Some did. On the evening of the gala, she wore a simple emerald green dress chosen by her aunt. When she entered the ballroom, Cashin saw her immediately. Not because she was the loudest person there. She wasn't. Not because she wore the most expensive dress. She didn't. He noticed her because Naya walked into rooms carrying something money could not purchase. Warmth. Then a woman named Lavinia Crestwell noticed her. Lavinia belonged to a wealthy family that had spent years trying to arrange a business alliance with the Valles. She approached Naya near the dessert table. You're the hotel employee. Naya smiled politely. Former hotel employee. I resigned last month. To do what? Help run my aunt's bakery. Lavinia looked her up and down. How ambitious. Naya understood the insult. She ignored it. Lavinia leaned closer. You know Cashin is being polite to you because you helped his mother. Naya's smile disappeared. Perhaps. Men like him don't marry women like you. Naya felt the old familiar wound open. For years, people had taught her to question whether she took up too much space. Too big. Too loud. Too noticeable. Too ordinary. She had worked hard to stop believing them. But old scars sometimes remember voices. Lavinia continued. Enjoy the attention while it lasts. Naya quietly placed her plate down. You know something? Lavinia smiled. What? I used to think women who spoke like you were confident. Naya stepped closer. Then I grew up. Lavinia's smile faded. Naya continued calmly. Confident women don't need to make another woman feel small. Several nearby guests heard her. Lavinia flushed. You have no idea who you're talking to. Naya almost laughed. Why does everyone keep asking me that? A voice behind them answered. I've wondered the same thing. Lavinia turned. Cashin stood there. Her face changed instantly. Cashin. He ignored her. His attention remained on Naya. Are you all right? Naya nodded. I handled it. I noticed. There was pride in his voice. Lavinia tried to recover. We were only talking. Cashin finally looked at her. Then chose better words. Cashin, I was protecting you. From what? Silence. His gaze sharpened. From her. Lavinia said nothing. Cashin looked around at the guests who had begun listening. Then he did something nobody expected. He offered Naya his hand. Not because she needed rescuing. She had already rescued herself. But because he wanted the entire room to understand his choice. Dance with me. Naya glanced toward the dance floor. I'm terrible. So am I. I don't believe you. You shouldn't. I lied. She laughed. Then she placed her hand in his. The room watched them walk onto the dance floor. Halfway through the song, Naya whispered, "Everyone is staring. Let them. They're going to talk." "They already do." She looked at him. "You really don't care?" Cashin's expression softened. "I've spent most of my life surrounded by people terrified of what others think." His hand rested respectfully at her side. "Then I met a woman willing to lose her job because an old stranger was crying." Naya lowered her eyes. "That wasn't special. To me it was." She looked up again. Cashin continued, "My entire life, people have protected my family because they were paid to." His gaze moved briefly towards Serafina, who was watching them with suspiciously happy eyes. "You protected my mother because you couldn't tolerate cruelty." Naya's throat tightened. "I would have done it for anyone." "I know." Cashin smiled. "That's the part one love." Naya stopped moving. Cashin realized what he had said. For once, the most composed man in the room had no prepared response. Naya stared at him. "Did you just say love?" "I believe I did." "You believe?" "I definitely did." She laughed softly. Cashin looked almost nervous. It was a sight perhaps 5 people on Earth had ever witnessed. "I love you, Naya." The music continued around them. No dramatic applause. No announcement. Just 2 people standing beneath warm chandeliers while the rest of the room slowly disappeared from their awareness. Naya's eyes filled with emotion. "You're sure?" Cashin frowned. "About loving you?" "About me." He understood. All those years, all those voices, all those people who had made her feel that love was something she needed to earn by becoming smaller. Cashin gently shook his head. "The first time I saw you, you were standing between my mother and people who had more power than you." He smiled. "You were frightened and still refused to move." His voice softened. "I have never seen anything more beautiful." A tear slipped down Naya's cheek. Cashin brushed it away. She whispered, "I love you too." Across the ballroom, Serafina covered her mouth. Her eyes filled with tears. This time, they were happy ones. 1 year later, Bellarosa Grand Hotel looked completely different. Not physically. The chandeliers still sparkled. The marbles still shone. Luxury still filled every corner. But the culture had changed. Following the investigation, several employees had been dismissed and new policies introduced for handling vulnerable guests. More importantly, every employee received training built around one simple principle. Dignity did not depend on someone's bank account. Celeste never returned. Naya never returned as an employee either. Instead, she and her aunt expanded the bakery into 3 locations after years of careful work. Cashin offered to finance the expansion. Naya refused. He offered again. She refused again. Eventually, he stopped asking. But when she needed advice negotiating her first commercial lease, Cashin spent 4 hours helping her examine every paragraph. Naya paid him with 2 cinnamon rolls. He claimed it was the worst consulting fee of his career. He also accepted it. Serafina became a permanent fixture at the bakery. Every Thursday, same table, same tea, usually accompanied by 3 elderly friends who argued loudly about everything. And Cashin? The feared man who once lived almost entirely behind guarded gates and boardroom doors slowly changed. He spent less time chasing power, more time with his mother, more time laughing, more time discovering that ordinary mornings could be worth more than extraordinary fortunes. 2 years after the day Serafina's glasses shattered on the hotel floor, Naya stood in that same lobby. Only this time, she wasn't wearing a catering uniform. She wore an elegant sapphire blue gown, the exact color of the uniform she had worn the day their lives changed. Guests filled the ballroom for Serafina's Charity Foundation anniversary. Near the entrance stood a large photograph. It wasn't a photograph of Cashin or Serafina. It showed dozens of elderly people smiling at a newly opened community center funded by the foundation. Naya stared at it proudly. Serafina approached quietly. "You did this." Naya shook her head. "We did." Serafina took her hand. "Do you remember what you said to me that day?" Naya smiled. "I saw a lot of things that nearly got me fired." Serafina laughed. "You told me I wasn't alone." Naya's smile softened. Serafina looked toward her son, standing across the ballroom. Cashin was watching them. You had no idea how much I needed those words. Naya squeezed her hand. And you had no idea how much I needed you. Serafina's eyes became wet. I think we found each other at exactly the right time. Cashin approached. Mother, are you crying again? Serafina wiped her eyes. I'm allowed. Naya grinned. She makes the rules. I've noticed. Cashin offered Naya his hand. She took it. Then Serafina looked at the two of them and smiled. There had been a day when hundreds of people stood around her. Yet she had never felt more alone. Only one person stepped forward. A young woman with no influence. No bodyguards. No powerful surname. No idea who Serafina was. And that was precisely why the moment mattered. Naya didn't defend a millionaire. She didn't defend the mother of a feared mafia boss. She defended a crying old woman. Because sometimes the most important test of character happens when we believe there is absolutely nothing to gain. Cashin eventually inherited buildings, companies, fortunes, and a name that could silence rooms. But the person who changed his life entered it carrying a tray of empty glasses. She taught him that courage didn't always carry weapons. Sometimes courage wore a blue uniform, worried about rent, felt afraid, and stepped forward anyway. And Naya learned something too. She had spent years thinking she needed to become smaller before someone could love her fully. She was wrong. Real love never demanded that she shrink. It simply recognized the heart that had always been there. Later that evening, as music filled the ballroom, Cashin watched his mother laughing with Naya near the dance floor. Ronan approached him. You're smiling again, sir. Cashin immediately stopped. I wasn't. You were. Careful, Ronan. Ronan smiled and walked away. Naya noticed. What was that about? Nothing. You threatened him, didn't you? No. She folded her arms. Cashin sighed. Possibly. Cashin. He accused me of smiling. Naya stared at him. That monster. Exactly. She laughed. And Cashin smiled again. This time he didn't hide it. Because the most powerful thing that had happened to him wasn't winning a war, building an empire, or becoming feared. It was discovering people worth becoming gentle for. And it all began with one question inside a crowded hotel lobby. Who hurt my mother? If this story reminded you that kindness can change a life when you least expect it, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next story. And now I want to hear from you. What was your favorite moment? When Naya stood between Serafina and security, when Cashin discovered what happened to his mother, or when he finally told Naya how he felt? Tell me in the comments. And if you believe people deserve respect regardless of their age, appearance, or wealth, like this video and share this story with someone who needs that reminder today.